So there are three major sequences: strings, lists, and tuples. And the key difference, one of the interview questions, what is the difference between list and tuple? So list is mutable and tuple is immutable. Means you cannot alter a tuple, but you can alter a list. Similarly, string is immutable. You cannot alter a string. Okay, let's understand these three sequences one by one. So strings, as I mentioned, you can define a string using single quote, double quote, or triple quote. When do we need triple quotes? When there are double quotes within the text or single quote within the text. All three of them are valid strings, same data type. Now, to understand the immutable property, let's quickly understand what is this indexing property. Okay, we'll deal with indexes in the notebook too in depth, but over here, just a simple concept. If you are creating a variable, then you are storing something in Python, correct? So Python specifies a location number to every value. So here, like for example, h is getting stored at 0th location. E is at 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So hello contains 5 characters and each character is stored at a particular position. And the positions in Python programming language starts from 0 as compared to R programming language where it starts from 1. So H will be stored at 1 and E will be 2. More natural, for beginners. But for programmers, this is more natural that the indexes start from 0 because C, C++, Java, all these previous generation language will have this indexing is equal to 0. Okay. And what does that mean is like, because since you have these, you can access the values. Like let's say hello of 1. So this square bracket represents of or accessing a particular value. So hello of 1 will give you E. Hello of 3 will give you what? L. Which L? So 0, 1, 2, 3, this one. If you say hello of 4, then you are going to go till O. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Now, when you start from left to right, you count from 0. When you start from right to left, you can count backwards also. You start from -1. So this is -1. O is -1. L is -2. This L is -3. So this is what is printing -3. If you do -4, then E gets printed, this one. So 1, -1, -2, -3, -4. Okay. Similarly, you can provide a range of values like hello of 0:3. 0:3 means start from 0 and give me three values, first three values. So it'll go 0, 1, 2. It will not go till 3. Just because in Python we have indexes starting from 0, that is why the last index gets excluded whenever I provide a range of values. Otherwise, if I include 3 also, it will not mean the first three values. It will mean first four values because it will go like 0, 1, 2, 3. So four values will get printed. Okay. That is why the design of Python says after colon, if you have a number as a range, so exclude the last number. Okay. So 0, 1, 2 till that point it will go. So far, so good. Everybody with me? What are these indexes?
Yes,
Indexes
sir.
are positions where values are stored in a variable. Yeah. Now, with this context, look at this code. I'm defining a string, hello Python. How the positions will be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Space also will be a position, okay? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So there will be 11 characters or 11 positions, okay? Starting from 0. So I'm printing string and I'm printing the type of the string one also. Here the print statement is important. Otherwise this will give the output, but it will not be present like printed over here in the cell. Okay. In this line, I am trying to print the string 1 of 1. What is string of 1? 1 of 1? E. Correct? 0, 1. So E gets printed. And then I'm doing something which is illegal. because once you define a string, you cannot alter it. This is forbidden. So if you are trying to change this E to, let's say, A, then the command will say this is not possible. Okay? It is throwing an error. String object does not support item assignment. Okay. All right. Now, the common string command, like what are the common string commands that we use day to day? Now, the moment you define a string, let's say, for example, string one, if you do dot and hit the tab button, you will see many functions are associated with it. This is also known as inheritance. So the moment you are defining any variable in Python, like for example, like this. So Python understands that, oh, you are storing strings in it. So I'll have to create an object. So this is an object. String one is an object. Object of type what? Object of the data type string. So string is a class of variable. Okay. This is object orientation I'm talking about. So of the string class, I am creating a new object, and that object is something which will inherit all the properties of string, like, how strings behave, they cannot be altered, or they have certain certain functions associated with them. All of those things will be available inside this variable. Okay. Now, do you have to learn each and every function present inside it? Not necessarily. So some of the common functions that we utilize is listed over here. So defining a sample string, finding the length of a string is one of the common operations. So when you find a length, it will tell you the length or the number of alphabets present in it, including the spaces, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 is the space, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So 16 different alphabets, including spaces. That is what it will print. The length of the string is, we are creating length of sample string, which is 16. Clear to everyone? Simple enough? If you want to find a particular character within the string, then you can say count. How many number of times, let's say, I is present in my string. So count function will tell you 3 number of times. Okay. If you want to convert your string into an uppercase string or lowercase string, upper and lower can be utilized. Now, one important function is called split. You have a string, but you can split it as a list of words. If you count this length is giving you the length of the characters, the alphabets. But if you would like to count how many number of words are present, then you will have to find the words first separated by commas. So this format is also known as a list. This list of words can be produced using the split statement. So split function or split utility will basically split your string separated by spaces. So by default, it assumes that you are separating the string with a space. Like consider this samples, a sample string dot split. So if you do dot split, it will produce this output. Okay. And then this is the list output. We'll understand what is a list in the very next section below. Okay. So if you do length of a list, then it will count, okay, this is the first element, second element, third element, fourth element. So it will give you the count of words present in it. So to count the words, I typically convert my string into list. And for conversion, I use split function. Okay. Now the split function assumes space is the by default separator between two words. But let's say if the separator is like this, so you can specify the separator is double comma. Okay. So then it will say 3 words are present like this. If you give a single comma here, then what will happen? See, It is including that extra comma in the word itself. Okay. If you don't provide anything, any comma, then what will happen? By default, split function says, I will assume it's a space. Then it will assume that the whole thing is one single word. Okay, so it will not be able to split it. If it was, let's say, a semicolon. So I can provide that semicolon is the splitter. So I can get 3 words separated by semicolons. So this is one function that we use a lot, splitting of the string. Then we can count using this function. We can count the length. So length of the length of the list will provide you the number of words. Okay. Then can we add two strings using the plus operator? Yes. So hello plus space, right? And then plus Python. And then can I add a number also? Yes, but you have to convert that number into string. So using str function, I can convert an existing number into a string. So yeah, I can add multiple strings using plus operator as well. Now, what what is happening here? If I wanted to find the index or the location of programming word in this particular string, let's say s1 is a string. Okay, I want to find out where the word programming is present. So 0, 1, 2, 3. Correct? How do I get it? So if I say s1 dot find programming, find is a function that is associated in a string, then it will give me 12. Why? Count from here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So programming, the P starts at the 12th index. So if you use the find command, it will give you the index where programming is starting in the string. But if you wanted the position of it, like 0, 1, 2, 3, then you have to split it, create a word list, right? Like this. And then in the word list, you can use a different function called index. So this index is present as a function of list. So you are asking the list, tell me what is the index of programming keyword or programming word. So it will tell you 0, 1, 2, 3, third index. What is the index of A? 2, 0, 1, 2. It's a generic sequence of values. See, the utility of storing multiple values in one place is fulfilled by lists. S- Square brackets and values separated by commas. So physics, chemistry, and numbers 1997, 2000, A, B, C, D, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is like a mixture list. Okay. I'm creating a list and alphanumeric list and storing it as my list one. So you see my list one, I'm printing here. And what is the data type of my list one? It's list. Okay. Similarly, you can print my list 2 and my list 3. So this is all numeric list. This is all character list. So if you want to store multiple values separated by commas, just put them inside a square brackets and this will create one variable that contains all of it. So if I print my list 1, you will see now it contains multiple values together. And in order to access, I can access it using, let's say, physics is at position 0. This is at position 1. So if I wanted to print physics, I can say my list of 0, physics, my list of 1, chemistry, my list of 2, 1997. What if I give my list of 5? Index out of range. There are only 4 values. So 0, 1, 2, 3. Only till that point it will go. Now, lists are mutable. So the same property that we examined for strings, look at it, how it is behaving here. List 1 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Printing list 1 and printing the type of list 1. It is a list. Then I am printing one of the values. Let's say print list 1 of 1. It's 2. So 0 and first index 1. Okay. So 2 is list 1 of 1. and I'm changing that to 10. I'm saying that list 1 of 1, change it to 10. And this is okay for a list because you can alter a list. So if you're printing it again, you can see I've changed this second position to 10. So this is perfectly fine for a list. That lists are mutable. Common interview question. Can a list contain a list inside it? Yes. So I'm defining list 1. I'm defining list 2. Okay, 2 lists. And I'm defining a third list that is a complex list. Okay, I'm calling it a complex list, but there's nothing like a complex list. I mean, like in terms of data type, this is also a list, but it contains the first element as a list, second element as a list, third element as a string, and fourth element as a number, which is perfectly normal. So you see the first element here is a list. Second element, once again, a list. And this second element, which is a list, also contains a list inside it. So list contains a list, contains a list inside it. So you can keep going on and on and on unless you are lost. Okay. So you can continue putting lists inside lists. It is perfectly normal and allowed. All right. But then how do I access these values then? What will be the index of this one? So then you use double indexing or triple indexing depending upon where your value is present. So for instance, let's say if I wanted to reach at at 300, let's go to 300. So first what I'll have to do, I'll have to print this particular list, right? How do I reach here? So complex list of 1. So 0 is this and 1 is this. Yeah. Then what I'll say, okay, I need to go inside this list. Inside this list, I have to go here. So once again, complex list of 1 of 1. So this will give me this portion. So now treat this complex list of 1 as an independent item, okay? Independent object. So 0th element, first element, second element, third element, okay? So 0 and 1. This will give me 200, 300, 400. And then once again, I treat it as a separate list. How do I reach 300? Of 1. So I've reached 300. And I'm trying to access one of the elements present inside it. So how do I traverse within the list? So I traverse using multiple indexing or step-by-step indexing. First, I will reach here, then I will go further inside. So if I want to reach here, then 0 and 1. So if I do 0, what I'm going to get? 100. See, if I do 1, then I'm going to get this whole thing. If I do 2, then I'm going to get 300. Are you able to understand this? This one, this 300. Okay, if I do 400, this 400. Yep. So if I have to access further this particular, maybe you are getting confused because this is also 200, 300, 400. Let me change this to, let's say 546, 329, and some different numbers. Okay. Yeah. So now if I am doing complex list 1 of 3, I'm getting 400. This is the 400. Okay. And if I wanted to access this 435, then I have to go inside this. How do I go inside this? First, I have to reach here of 1. Hmm? Then this is a list. How do I access this 435 in a list? So 0, 1, 2.
2. 2.
Yes. Making sense? So see, step by step,
Good.
I am
Good.
traversing within the list and I am reaching at a particular position. If I further go and let's say if I wanted to print O from hello, how do I print? What will be the command to print O from hello in this complex list? Can you try? How will I print this O from hello? first I need to reach hello, correct? So 0, 1, 2. It is present at the second index, right? What I wanted you to understand here is that lists are created using square brackets, and you can keep anything separated by comma inside a list. It could be normal values, or it could be a list itself, or it could be any other data type also. Okay. So a sequence, separated by comma, put inside square bracket is nothing but a list. Now, since lists are mutable, there are a lot of commands that are available inside list. All of these operations that you can do. So what are these common operations that we perform? So I'm defining a list one and list two and a complex list for our example. So list one is the first element, list two is the second element, and hello is the third element. Okay. Printing the complex list. This is my complex list. Okay. Now, if I wanted to access a particular value inside it, then I traverse using multiple indexes. Like if I wanted this 400, so list one, complex list of 1 and then 3. So complex list of 1 will take me here, 0, 1, and then 0, 1, 2, 3 is going to give me 400. Yeah. Then to count the number of values present in a list, we use the length function. So length is 3. First element, second element, third element. Why is it not counting all the values present inside it? Because you're not instructing to count. Okay. If you wanted to count, let's say these numbers, then you have to say, okay, find the length of complex list of 1. So what is of 1? List 2. So it will count the number of values present in list 2, which is 4. Like this. By default, it will count how many values are separated by comma as an element in the list. Like this. Now, if you wanted to add some values to the list, then you can use the most famous append method. Appending something. So append 500 or insert 400 at first position, 0 and 1. So at location 1, add 400. So you see what happened here. Previously, your list was like this. Yeah. So what I did, what was the first position? This was the first position. So I inserted 400 at the first position, and then in the end, I appended 500. So append operation appends at the end of the list, and insert operation inserts wherever you want that particular value to be inserted, provided you give the index. If I give it as 0, then 400 will be added as the first element. Sorry, here. Make sense? Now, if I wanted to remove something from the list, I can specify what value I would like to remove. So let's say remove 1000. So it will remove the first occurrence of 1000. Okay. If there are multiple 1000 values present, then all of those will not be removed. You have to run it again. How about if I wanted to remove everything, then you have to use for loop that we'll understand after this section in the control structures. So there you can loop through the list repeatedly till you get a null result. Okay. So remove can remove one value at a time, the first occurrence of a value. Now, tuple is nothing but sequence, very similar to list, except that tuple cannot be changed. So tuple is also a sequence. Everything is a list, like a list. Like you can have all the values. Tuples also can contain everything that you would like to contain them. The only caveat is once you define a tuple, you cannot change it, just like your strings. But okay, why? I mean, if we have lists, then why do we need tuples? This is also an interview question, that what is the difference between a tuple and a list? So tuple is a immutable object and lists are a mutable object. And since tuples are immutable and also strings are immutable, means you cannot alter them. They are faster data structure. So if I have a requirement, let's say I need to design a login password check. So I will rather prefer tuple, a list of usernames that are stored in the tuples and a list of passwords that are stored in the tuple as compared to a list. Because if there are many items, then accessing a tuple is faster as compared to accessing a list. So tuples are faster data structures as compared to list. All right. So whenever I have a requirement of accessing something quickly, then I use tuples. And whenever I have a requirement of changing something dynamically, then I use lists. Okay, so lists are slower in programming languages. Any programming language, if something is mutable, then the language has to maintain a metadata of changes of what happened to this particular variable, and that is how it becomes slower. Okay, but if something cannot be changed, then less metadata has to be maintained, and then that particular object is faster. Okay.
All right, sir.
So creating a complex tuple, can a tuple contain a list inside it? Yes. Can a tuple contain a tuple inside it? Yes. So anything that you can put inside a list, you can put inside a tuple also. The only thing is once you put it, you can't change it further. Okay. So this is the complex tuple. Let's say it contains tuple 1, tuple 2, and a string and a list, 4 elements. Here also the accessing of values is exactly same. Let's say, for example, I have to access this particular element, let's say A. So first I have to go till this point. So complex tuple of 1, then 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 will give me A. Okay. Now, if I want to change something that is present inside a tuple, it is going to throw me an error. For example, this tuple 1. I am trying to change this 20 with 40. I'm trying to change this 20 with 40, which will give me an error. So tuple is immutable. You cannot change the tuple. So tuple 1 is there. If you see dot tab, you will not see many functions in tuple. Why? Because it is immutable and there's nothing much you can do from the base tuple perspective. That is why there are not many functions associated with it. Only count and index. But can we do something else? Yes. Using other functions, we can try to perform some of the activities. Like the common tuple commands that we use is first the number of elements, okay, length, number of occurrences of a value, count. Can we add two tuples and create a new tuple? Yes, this is allowed. Then are we not violating the mutable property? No, we are not violating that because we are creating a new tuple. We are not changing tuple 1 or tuple 2. We are just using them to create a new tuple. So this is fine. Then finding something whether it is present in tuple 1 or not. So let's say whether 50 in tuple 1, yes, it's present. So it will give you true. Whether 150 is present in tuple 1, no. So it will give you false. So this is what I was talking about, like the example that I have prepared here also. Let's say you have usernames. So you can check whether RAM is present in usernames or not. So if RAM is present, then allow the login. If let's say my name is present in the username or not, so Farooq is not present in the username, so it's false. So I can write down this kind of a statement. We'll understand this going further if else statements in the control structure. Like if something is true, then say allow, otherwise say invalid credentials. So here it is saying the allow login because it is present. If I give my name, so this will return me false. So if it is false, then I'll say, okay, invalid credentials or the user doesn't exist like this. Okay, we'll understand what is this if else going further. But you get the point, right? What we are doing here, we are checking whether a particular value is present in a tuple.
Yes, sir.
Now, this is one of the brain teasers, simple question actually, but it confuses people and it's important that you understand this. So what I'm doing here is I'm creating two lists and two tuples, and using these, I am creating one complex tuple and complex list. Complex tuple contains list 1, tuple 1, and list 2 within itself. Okay, and complex list contains tuple 1, tuple 2, and list 1 within itself. Notice the use of brackets. If I just interchange the brackets, then the whole meaning of the variable will change. So this is a small bracket, which is tuple. This is a big bracket, which is list. Okay, so complex tuple new and complex list new is defined here. All right, now let's say if I do complex tuple of 0, what I'm going to get? A list, correct? If I do complex tuple of 1, what I'm going to get?
Tuple 1.
This tuple.
Tuple.
Okay. So this is a tuple and this is a list, and this one also is a list. If I try to do this, is this allowed? Tuple object does not support item assignment. What I'm trying to do, I'm trying to change this tuple with 500, correct? This is
Yeah.
not allowed. Now, let's say if I do of 0, I'm going to get a list. If I do this, is this allowed? So if you are trying to alter a list, then that is allowed. But if you're trying to alter a tuple, that is not allowed. Okay, even if you are even if you are altering a list present inside the tuple, you cannot alter the whole object. You cannot replace the whole object with something else, because if you're doing that, then you're altering it. But if I access this one, let's say this element 200, if I want to change this 200 to something else, let's say 1000, this is okay. Why? Because I'm altering a list. Okay, no matter where it is present, I can alter a list. So this is okay, this is allowed. But if I wanted to replace this whole list with something else, then that is not allowed, because then it will be like we are altering a tuple. So tuple item assignment is not allowed, but if you go inside the list, then you will be able to change them. It's like if I wanted to change something which is present inside a list. Now let's say list, complex list new. So the list is this one. Okay. If I want to change something over here, let's say this whole thing, if I want to replace this as hello, am I allowed to do that?
Yes, sir, we
Yes.
can.
So
I
this
think
whole
no, sir.
tuple, I'm replacing the whole tuple with hello, which is perfectly fine. It is allowed. But if I try to change this O to, let's say, C, then that is not allowed. Okay, let's say if I try to get this hello as complex list new of 0, and if I try to change this H to, let's say, C, then it will start throwing error. Even though the string is present inside a list, but it is still a string. So I cannot alter a string. Similarly, I cannot alter this particular value, but I can replace this particular value. This whole thing I can replace, but I cannot alter this 100 to 100 because it is a tuple. Can I change this 1000
Yes,
to
sir.
2000?
Yes, sir. It's
Because
under
it
the
is a
list.
list. Yeah, perfect. You guys are pretty smart. You got it in the first go. Awesome. So if I ever wanted to convert a list into a tuple, can I do that? Or tuple into a list? Yes. So there are two functions, list and tuple. So if you pass a tuple to the list function, it will convert the tuple into a list. See, you got a list as an output. So the type of my tuple will remain tuple, but the type of my new list is actually list because you've created a list. Now creating a tuple using the list as an input, this is also fine. You can pass a list to the tuple function and it will create a new variable. Okay. Interview question. How do you remove duplicate values from a list? So I can simply convert it into a set and then convert it back to a list. So the moment I pass a sample list of values to a set, it will remove the duplicates, have only unique values present in it, and then I simply convert it back to a list, and that gives me a list with unique values. Okay. Similarly, if I have a tuple that has duplicates, I can pass it to the set function. It will remove all the duplicates and produce me a tuple with no duplicates. Yep. Now, some of the common set commands. Here I'm defining set 1, set 2. So set 1 is 1, 2, 3, 4, and set 2 is 3, 4, 5. Okay. So what is this? So if you do OR operation, then you are saying whether the values are present in set 1 or set 2, just include both of them. So what are the values present in set 1 or set 2? So this will be a common elements across both these sets. So 1, 2, 3, 4 is present here. And what is extra? It's a 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is the OR operation. How do we do OR operation? Pipe, also known as union. So set 1 pipe set 2 will give me all the common elements between set 1 and set 2, as well as all the elements that are unique. If I do AND operation using the ampersand, so set 1 and set 2, it says intersection, means whatever elements are present in set 1 as well as set 2, so 3 and 4. Now if I do set 1 minus set 2, means the elements that are present in set 1 and not in set 2. So set 1 minus set 2. See, uncommon elements. Set 1 minus set 2. So whatever is present in set 1 that is not present in set 2. So 1 and 2, because 3 and 4 they are present in set 2. So set 1 minus set 2 is basically 1 and 2. If I do the reverse, if I do set 2 minus set 1. So what are the elements that are present in set 2 but not in set 1? So set 2 contains 3, 4, 5. Which of these is not present in set 1? Only 5. 3 and 4 they are already present. So 5. We can add a new element to a set. And the beauty of this add statement is I will check whether this value is already present in my set. If it is already present, then nothing will happen. Okay. And if it is not present, then this value will be added into the set. Okay. New value will be introduced. So if you wanted to add multiple values, then you have a different function called update. So you pass a list of values, and then in these list of values also the same check is performed. If it is already present, then nothing will be added. But if it is not present, then that will be added. If there are duplicates in your update statement, then only the unique values will be considered. Here, take a look. And see, this is not an ordered collection. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1.5, 40. So it is unordered. It's just the unique values. Okay. Think of it like this. Whenever I need to give a sequence of numbers, I need to use a list or tuple.
All right. Yeah.
Now, removing an element from the set, how do I remove something? So remove function is there. Set1 dot remove. Which value? This value has to be removed. If I want to remove multiple values from a set, so set1 dot difference update. Give a list of values that you wanted to remove. So all of those will be checked. If it is present, it will be removed. If it is not present, nothing will happen. Okay. If you say clear set, then everything will be removed at once. So you'll have an empty set. Okay. Now, sets do not support indexing because the utility of set is something different. It is for, this and or operation, set operations. So you do not have the utility of indexing. Also, because it is basically just a unique collection of values. So you don't have to specifically know which position is for what number because it doesn't matter. It is just a unique set of values present together. Okay. So if you try to use indexing, try to find a particular value, it will not support it because indexing is not done for sets. It is not meant for that. Okay.